Welcome to the Wedding Filmmaker Spotlight series, where I take a look at the best wedding filmmakers in the business and try to decipher, try to figure out what makes their films so great. In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at shark pig weddings. Now, shark pig weddings are they're a production house out of Los Angeles, I believe. They also do a lot of commercial work. But today we're going to be taking a look at their wedding films. So let's get into it. In terms of filming, it looks like they've really gone for more of a less direction, more of a fly on the wall kind of feeling. So I don't really see any clips in this video where it feels like the filmmakers gave the people at the wedding any kind of direction. They didn't give the bride and groom direction, like, walk from here to here and then kiss each other, or, spin her around. It looks more like they showed up with the camera and they kind of stood in the back and they kind of got shots and captured things as they happened. Yeah, the whole thing is shot handheld, so there's a lot of shaky stuff, but that's really adding to the camcorder 8mm, 16mm vintage home movie kind of vibe. So what I find really interesting about this style of film is that there isn't any narrative audio. It's just clips from the day, shot in a very fly-on-the-wall type of manner. So that means there's not really any direction, maybe a little bit of direction. You have this shot here where the bride is meeting the groom. Maybe that's like the first look or something like that. He comes out and he meets her. That's probably the only sequence in the film that has actually been directed. But mostly I would say that every other shot in this film is like undirected. It's just very fly on the wall. And that's really helping create this vintage vibe, this like camcorder home movie style vibe. And that is enhanced, I think, by the use of, I think they're using a tilt shift lens. So if you look at a shot like this right here, you can see that this section of the image is in focus, while this section of the image is out of focus. And you'll see the same thing happening throughout the film. Let's try to find a different shot here. There you go. So this shot of this guy right here, see, this part of the image is in focus, this part's out of focus. So it's like, instead of the focal plane being front to back, it's kind of side to side. So that's an interesting effect that's creating a vintage vibe. It's creating an imperfect image, and that imperfect image is creating vibe. It's creating soul. It's creating like texture, And another thing they're doing, one last thing that they're doing to create this vintage vibe, is they're using, I think, an 8mm camera. So this footage here, anything that's gone square, they're using, I think, an 8mm camera, or they're using a very good emulation of an 8mm camera. You can see that all of the highlight detail has gone to more of a magenta color. They also use a black and white film stock. It's, again, like, I don't know if that's a real 8mm film stock that we're looking at here. It looks very good. It looks very believable. So I think it's a lot of things that really need to come together to make a film feel like this. You need the vintage 8mm film grain. You need, it can either be an emulation or it can be, the real thing. You can get an actual 8mm camera, and, it costs a little bit more, obviously, but, it adds that texture, it adds that feeling, it adds that imperfection, which makes the image feel more vintage, more alive, more deep, more interesting, right? So there's the vintage film emulation, or the vintage film effects. You need, the fly on the wall, handheld kind of camera work. You can't really get this effect if you're moving around on a gimbal. That's not going to give you the same effect. So part of what makes this film so good is the handheld camera work. So the handheld camera work, the vintage film effects, the song is a big thing. You know, they've used this very raw acoustic Bob Dylan song, which has a vintage flavor. That's adding to the whole feeling of the film. The fact that there's no other audio in the film is also creating that home movie feeling. So all of those elements combined really create the feeling that we're getting with this film. So that's Shark Pig Weddings. They make really great stuff. If you liked that video, go and check them out, sharkpigweddings.com. I think they're also over at sharkpig.com as well. Like I said, they're a production house out of California, I believe. They make commercial work as well as weddings, and they do amazing, amazing work. If you enjoyed this episode of the Wedding Filmmaker Spotlight series, don't forget to subscribe and to hit that bell icon to keep yourself notified when a new video comes out each week. I make these videos every week, and I pick a different filmmaker, and we go through all the different things that I find interesting that I feel can elevate my own films. And the idea is hopefully you can learn something from them too. So that's the whole idea. If you liked this video, give it a like. Leave a comment, all that good stuff. I'll see you in the next one.